and Bobby Kennedy invited us to pursue. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Amen.
We're going to open up for questions. CJ Matthew, and thank you for being here. And thank all the media for being here as well. I am Pastor Larry Macon. I'm the pastor of the Mount Zion Church here in Oakwood Village, right outside of the Akron area and Cleveland area. Also the president of United Pastors in Mission of Greater Cleveland. Let me first express to the family of Jayland Walker the deep pain that I feel and that we feel, who are preparing to, who the family is preparing to do what is what we call a nightmare for any parent. It is hard to bury anybody, but today it's extremely hard for a parent to bury their child. This is contrary to the natural order of things. It is, in fact, parents who are supposed to be burying children who are supposed to be burying their parent. And so a parent's greatest nightmare is to get that night call saying that their child has died. What is worse is to hear that their child not only has died, but has been killed. Well, that the child has been killed not by one person, but by 8 persons, in particular 8 policemen. Yes, sir. What's worse than that is to be killed not only by 1 bullet, but to be killed by 60 bullets with the intent of targeting 90 bullets. This morning I got ready for this particular press conference. I looked at my tie, and I noticed that there was nearly 90 dots on my tie. And I said to myself, can you imagine what 90 bullets, what 90 bullets look like on my tie? And so this is indeed a great tragedy. Our prayers are with the family, with the Walker family, and also with the pastors of Akron, Ohio, who will have to walk through this thing directly, the valley of the shadow of death. It's going to impact not only Akron, the greater Cleveland community, but the nation as well, along with all of us who are pastors in this room who are supportive of the pastors in Akron, Ohio. We are also here to not only pray, but you will hear a presentation by our chairman to call for a complete investigation of what happened, but not only of what happened, but why did it happen? Not only the why question, but also who all were involved in this devastation and when what happened happened. And we're also here because we were with the President of the United States yesterday. And the President said to us, basically, that he does not want one stone unturned, and that if there is one stone unturned, he is calling on the United States Department of Justice to come into the city of Akron and investigate and find out what has happened, and to find out what are some of those what we call unanswered questions through that kind of investigation. So we do hope that all information will come forth to this family and community as soon as possible, and that if there are any redactions in the films, the reports, etc., we want that released immediately, and this will only help the family, this will only help the city, this will only help the nation make some sense out of what appears to be to us a senseless shooting. So we thank you for your presence, and we'll now hear a statement from our chairman, the Reverend Dr. Marvin A. McMickle, the esteemed pastor president of the Antioch Church here in Cleveland, and he's also going to give us remarks as well. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Brother President. Good morning.
Good morning.
To the press. Good morning to all my colleagues, both in the ministry and in public life. So glad that all of you are here. There is a famous quotation, perhaps among his most famous quotations, from Martin Luther King Jr., who observed many years ago that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. It is with that in mind that the injustice that occurred in Akron is in fact a threat to justice everywhere. and remembering that in the year 2012, there was right here in Cleveland an unimaginable shooting of Timothy Russell and Melissa Williams, who were shot 137 times, begins to sound to us as if these are not simply random events, but matters that require our concern. So this is a statement from our collective group, United Pastors in Mission, in consultation with clergy colleagues in Akron, Ohio. United Pastors in Mission of Greater Cleveland offers the following statement in response to the death of Jayland Walker, who was shot at over 90 times by police officers of the Akron Police Department and who received over 60 bullets into his body. Some of those shots being fired while he was unarmed and laying on the ground. We grieve with the family of Mr. Walker. We stand ready to assist Akron clergy colleagues in any way we can as they seek the following things. 1, transparency concerning how being stopped for a traffic violation resulted in 8 police officers shooting Mr. Walker to death. 2, accountability for the officers involved in this horrific event. As both the mayor and chief of police in Akron have said publicly, each officer will have to be held accountable for every bullet they fired at and into Mr. Walker. 3, better police training on how to conduct a traffic stop, high-speed pursuits, and the justifiable use of deadly force. 4, we join with the family of Jayland Walker in urging all protests on his behalf to be nonviolent and peaceful in nature. And 5, however, we also echo the refrain, no justice, no peace. City officials in Akron can reduce any chance of violence by conducting a swift, thorough, and transparent investigation into this tragic event. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. We will now hear from Pastor Aaron Phillips, hearing from Church in Cleveland. Pastor Phillips.
Good morning. Thank you, Bishop Macon, and thank you for your leadership. Thank you, Dr. McMickle. We are also here standing at the Cleveland Clergy Coalition with the United Pastors in Mission in support of this effort. This is the beginning and not the ending of our work in this matter. We are in conversation with pastors in Akron. We may try to go there to meet with them and do what we can do to push for a fair investigation. But it does make us all pause as we've seen the shooter on 4th of July in Chicago.
Yeah.
Go home, go to a cage, but he's alive and eating well. And he actually killed at least 6 people, and I think that is running up every day. This young man didn't shoot anybody. No one was hurt, and he's in the morgue. The only real difference is one is black and one is white, and we are very concerned about that. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you. We're going to hear from the attorney to the family who will introduce himself.
Attorney Bobby DiCello. I'd like to thank first Pastor Macon, Reverend C.J. Matthews, Reverend Aaron Phillips, and the United Pastors in Mission for addressing this issue and allowing us the time to be heard today. I am moved by this showing of support. And I know the family is too. My first name, Bobby, has been chosen for one practical reason and for one reason that is personal to these events. My father's name is Robert, and so people didn't want to call me Bobby, or him Bobby, but rather me. And I figured I'd let people who know me call me that, as friends and family. But when I was 10 years old, my father told me about Bobby Kennedy. And for every moment that we stand here together, I'm humbled by the possibility of just having another Bobby in this discussion that happens to not be black, but happens to be white, and happens to be standing on behalf of Jayland Walker. I'm going to read from a speech that Bobby Kennedy gave 54 years ago, in 1968, here in Cleveland. He said, "Yet we know what we must do. It is to achieve true justice among our fellow citizens. The question is now what programs we should seek to enact. The question is whether we can find in our own midst, in our own hearts, that leadership of human purpose that will recognize the terrible truths of our existence. How can we expect this to change? That is our challenge. As a lawyer and a former prosecutor here in Cuyahoga County, I know what I can do within the law to help restore the dignity of another human being. Justice is personified in the lawyer who uses every single faculty they have to uphold the dignity of another person. And so what does justice look like? It is time for my friends in the suburbs. It is time for my friends who have gone to college. It is time for my friends in faraway cities, in towns and countries far away, to ask why we have laws that protect people like my client. The law is you are not to shoot a man and seize him for running away.
That's right.
That's the law. And if you don't believe me, you can ask the shooter from Illinois. He'll tell you how good that law is. You can also talk to the shooter in Kentucky who killed 3 police officers, holed up in his house. He'll tell you how good that law is. But you can't ask Jayland because he didn't get the benefit of that law. I'm here on behalf of the family to make a promise and to extend to all of you, wherever you are, this invitation. First, the promise. I promise we are going to hold those officers to account for every one of the 90-some bullets they fired.
All right.
Every one of them. And I promise that we will do this with compassion and dignity for Jayland. The invitation I have is to ask yourselves, why do we have these laws? And the answer is because we value human life in this country. It's what makes America special. It's what makes America the place to be. Now we have to live up to the values that Martin Luther King and Bobby Kennedy invited us to pursue. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Amen.